Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, people connecting from Mekong countries, the Republic of Korea, other ASEAN countries, and beyond. We welcome you to the Regional Forum on Mekong-Republic of Korea Cooperation. The theme of the forum is From Cooperation to Strategic Partnership, a decade of shared development for people, prosperity, and peace. The virtual forum is being organized by the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Thailand in collaboration with Mekong Institute. We are connecting with you today on behalf of Mekong Institute in Mekong Institute's premises in Khon Kaen, Thailand. In a while, we will have the opening session. In the opening session, we will have His Excellency Lee Wook-hon, Ambassador of the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Thailand, deliver the opening remarks, and Mr. Suryan Vichitlekan, Executive Director, Mekong Institute, delivering the welcome remarks. Before I invite our honorable speakers to the opening session, I would like to make two short announcements. First is about questions. We welcome questions from all guests today. Please send your questions in the question, answers, and comment boxes. Kindly identify yourself, identify the organization you are affiliated with, identify the speaker to whom your questions are directed, and kindly keep your questions brief within 4 or 5 lines. And the second announcement is about a few group photos which we would like to take with our distinguished panelists, honorable speakers, and all the participants. Kindly pause for a few seconds for the group photo. I will indicate to you when the photo will be taken. Okay, so the first photo, 3, 2, 1. Another one, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for posing for the photo. Now it is my honor to invite His Excellency Lee Wook-hon, Ambassador of the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Thailand, to deliver the opening remarks. Ambassador Lee Wook-hon is a career diplomat. Prior to his current role, served as a Deputy Minister of Protocol Affairs in Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Republic of Korea. And prior to that, he served as Ambassador of Republic of Korea to the Republic of Uzbekistan. In his distinguished career, Ambassador Lee Wook-hon has served many different posts and roles and received recognitions and awards, including Service Merit Medal in 2012. Your Excellency, may I request you now to deliver your opening remarks?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So, Excellencies and distinguished guests, I am very much delighted to host this regional forum on the Republic of Korea, Mekong relations, in cooperation with the Mekong Institute, entitled From Cooperation to Strategic Partnership, a decade of shared development for peace, people, prosperity, and peace. First of all, a special thank you to Mr. Suryan Vichitlekan, Executive Director of Mekong Institute, and his team for organizing and supporting this forum today. And I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Her Excellency Arun Potong Humphreys, Ambassador for Mekong Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, for accepting the keynote speech, which I firmly believe will upgrade this event into even more meaningful and fruitful one. I would also like to thank all the presenters and warmly welcome the panelists and participants, especially those from the Mekong countries, namely Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Thailand. Distinguished participants, this forum is indeed timely and valuable because this is a critical moment for the relations between the Republic of Korea and the Mekong countries. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Mekong-ROK Cooperation since the inaugural foreign ministers meeting in 2011. ROK-Mekong relations were elevated to the summit level in 2019 and the strategic partnership level in 2020. In commemoration of our 10th anniversary, this year has been designated as Mekong-ROK Exchange Year, and this designation has been extended to next year due to the COVID-19 situation. And at the end of this month, the third Mekong-ROK Summit will be held. The Korean government has continuously attached great importance to ASEAN and Mekong sub-region through its New Southern Policy and New Southern Policy Plus. The ROK's ultimate vision for the NSP and NSPP is to build a people-centered community of peace and prosperity rooted in a strong sense of solidarity. In this sense, the Korean government has continuously contributed to a peaceful and prosperous Mekong community and well-being of its people in various areas. I would like to briefly introduce our Mekong-ROK cooperation in terms of people, prosperity, and peace. First, people. People-to-people and cultural exchanges between the ROK and Mekong countries were remarkable before the COVID-19 pandemic. The number of mutual visitors had tripled in just 8 years prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, from 2.4 million in 2011 to 8 million in 2019. In particular, Thai visitors to the ROK reached 600,000, and Korean visitors to Thailand reached 1.9 million in 2019. Although they have been affected by COVID-19 daily, warmly welcoming an extension of Mekong Exchange Year for another year, the ROK and Mekong countries are trying their collective best to revitalize and strengthen these vigorous exchanges even more. These exchanges will contribute to close ties and cordial relationships among our future generations. Mekong Exchange Year will be a good opportunity to boost cultural exchanges. Today's forum is also one of the events hosted by our embassy, along with other various events commemorating Mekong-ROK Exchange Year, such as a photo contest, Korean language speaking contest, an online K-pop concert, an exhibition for media arts and academic seminars. Since COVID-19 is a massive threat to human security, the Korean government is trying its best to respond to this crisis with the Mekong countries together. The ROK has provided medical equipment and supplies and its support for the capacity building of health professionals as part of its COVID-19 comprehensive rapid response program. It has also pledged to contribute $200 million to COVAX by 2022. I hope this fund will be allocated to provide necessary vaccines to Mekong countries as well. I believe that ROK and the Mekong countries will further enhance their capacities for collective response to this pandemic through further discussions on such occasions as the ASEAN ROK Health Ministers Meeting and ROK Thailand Foreign and Health Ministers to dialogue on health security. Second, prosperity. The Korean government has contributed to the Mekong area, mainly through the Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund, MKCF, and Official Development Assistance, ODA. It has contributed $10.42 million to MKCF since 2013, and it contributed $4 million additionally this year. As of now, 26 MKCF-supported projects have been completed, are in progress in the 7 priority areas of Mekong-ROK cooperation. Besides, about 20% of Korean government's ODA in 2019 was focused on the 5 Mekong countries. In spite of COVID-19 situation, trade volume between Korea and Mekong countries in the first half of this year recorded $46 billion, which surpassed that of the same period in 2020 by more than 20%. Furthermore, the ROK is prepared to enhance cooperation and investment in various fields, including infrastructure. Recognizing the importance of enhancing regional connectivity and infrastructure building, the Korean government is supporting key infrastructure projects in the Mekong region, such as the East-West Economic Corridor. In the same context, our embassy hosted the first New Southern Policy Connectivity Forum in June, where we discussed ways to promote infrastructure connectivity as well. Third, peace. Regional peace and stability are especially important to all of us, since prosperity cannot be achieved if peace and stability are not ensured and sustained. That's why the ROK and Mekong countries are all together championing peace and stability in the region. Mekong countries have demonstrated their unwavering support for the peace process on the Korean Peninsula. Likewise, the Korean government has been closely watching the current situation in Myanmar, as well as serious health and humanitarian crises inflicted on the people of Myanmar, and has recently joined ASEAN's collective effort for providing humanitarian assistance to the people of Myanmar through AHA Center by pledging $1 million contribution. The Korean government is also implementing some projects for building up a peaceful local community, such as Korea-Mekong Future Peace Community Program, which encompasses the clearance of explosive remnants of war, support for victims, rural development, and protection of the environment. Excellencies and distinguished guests, although we recognize the progress and current status of our Mekong-ROK cooperation, as I previously mentioned, but I would like to emphasize the most today is the importance of ECMEX in setting the future direction of cooperation, as well as sustainable development within the sub-region. There are many cooperation frameworks in the Mekong sub-region, but the most remarkable and distinct features of ECMEX are ownership, openness, and inclusiveness. ECMEX is a cooperation framework in which all the 5 Mekong countries are taking the lead with a sense of ownership. Thus, we hope that their effort for developing ECMEX cooperation would yield fruitful outcomes, including establishment of ECMEX Secretariat and ECMEX Development Fund. in order to pitch in these efforts, our government contributed $1 million in 2019, the first and only financial contribution by a development partner, and is ready to seek further cooperation with Agreed to the project proposal for utilizing a part of Korea's contribution to ECMEX on the theme of regional program on improving supply chain connectivity for medicine and medical supplies in ECMEX countries. I look forward to the finalization and official kickoff of the project in the not too distant future as the first ROK ECMEX cooperation project. This will also lead to the promotion of other possible ROK ECMEX cooperation projects. We are indeed more than ready to engage, share ideas and visions, and pursue new joint projects for sustainable development of the region with the Mekong and partner countries with you all. So once again, I convey my warmest welcome to all of you, and I very much look for truly fruitful discussions today. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Lee. Thank you for your topical and inspiring remarks, particularly explaining the background of Mekong ROK cooperation and explaining ROK's involvement for the under the three pillars of people, prosperity, and peace. Thank you again, Your Excellency. Now it is my honor to invite Mr. Suryan Vichitlekhan, Executive Director, Mekong Institute, to deliver the welcome remarks. Mr. Suryan holds over 15 years of experience in delivering innovative approaches and sustainable practices across his specialized areas, which are agriculture, rural development, public-private partnership, and trade facilitation. As the Executive Director of Mekong Institute, Mr. Suryan steers the organization's strategic planning and implementation in the context of Mekong Institute's capacity development and advisory services. Khun Suryan, may I ask you now to deliver your welcome remarks? Thank you.
Thank you, Sanchita, and Excellency Lee Wook Hyun, Ambassador of Republic of Korea to Thailand, Excellency Ambassador Arunrung Potong Humphreys, Ambassador attached to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Thailand, and concurrently Mekong, some leader for Thailand, distinguished speakers, development partners, representatives from Mekong countries, namely Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, and Vietnam, and of course, Republic of Korea. Audience who follow the forum today through Facebook live stream and also YouTube live stream. A pleasant good morning to all of you. At the outset, allow me to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the regional forum on Mekong-Republic of Korea Cooperation under the theme of From Cooperation to Strategic Partnership, a decade of shared development for people, prosperity, and peace today. The forum is jointly organized by the Embassy of Republic of Korea to Thailand and the Mekong Institute. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, echoing the statement by Excellency Ambassador Lee, Mekong Institute would like to emphasize that Mekong countries remain an important and fast-growing region, and Republic of Korea is recognized as one of the important partners in building partnership for people, prosperity, and peace. This is guided by the Mekong and Han River Declaration, which was adopted by the first Mekong ROK Summit in 2019. As earlier said, this year marks the 10th anniversary of this long-standing and meaningful partnership between Mekong countries and Republic of Korea. As an important supporting mechanism and instrument, the Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund, or MKCF, was established in 2013. This is with the purpose of fostering close cooperation among Mekong countries and Republic of Korea. And to this aim, Mekong Institute is privileged and honored to assume the role of manager of this important Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund. This forum will therefore provide all of us an opportunity to look back on this partnership journey over the past 10 years and also into the future directions. In this regard, I wish to thank all the speakers who will join us today for sharing their view and perspective. I sincerely believe that through closer cooperation between Mekong countries, Republic of Korea, and partners, the partnership will be even stronger and more meaningful for the years to come. To make this forum possible, I would like to thank Mekong countries, Republic of Korea for guidance and support throughout the cooperation and partnership journey over the past 10 years, particularly the Embassy of Republic of Korea to Thailand for advice and cooperation. To all the speakers for accepting to share your perspective and vision of building greater cooperation and partnership in the region. I would hope the audience will continue to remain in the program so that you can follow the discussion that we will have over throughout this morning. So with that, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank for your kind attention.
Thank you, Khun Suryan, for sharing your informative and insightful thoughts, in particular also explaining Mekong Institute's role in Mekong-ROK cooperation through Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund. With that, we conclude the opening session, and we will now move on to session 1. The theme of the session, the next session, is Mekong-ROK cooperation progress and future direction. We are honored to have Her Excellency Arunrung Pothong Humphreys, Ambassador attached to the Ministry for Mekong Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Thailand, as the keynote speaker of this forum. The other esteemed speakers of the next session are Mr. Kavi Chongkittavon, who will speak on Korea-Mekong Cooperation Future Challenges, and Mr. Madhurja Kumar Datta, who will speak on Mekong-Republic of Korea Trade and Economic Partnership, some issues and experiences. Next session, I would like to invite Mr. Suryan Chitlekan, Executive Director of Mekong Institute, to take the floor, please. Mr. Suryan.
Thank you, Sanchita, for the introduction of the next session, which will be on Mekong-Republic of Korea Cooperation Progress and Future Direction. As earlier explained, this year marked the 10th anniversaries. And in order just to look back into these partnership journeys and also to explore what are possible future directions, we are fortunate to have Ambassador Arunrung Pothong Humphreys, who has been earlier introduced, to speak as a keynote speaker today. A bit of background of our dear speaker. Ambassador Arunrung is currently ambassador attached to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Thailand and concurrently the Mekong SOM leader for Thailand. Ambassador Arunrung has been a career diplomat, has been appointed in several countries and playing important role fostering cooperation and partnership between Thailand and various countries. Among others, she was appointed also the ambassador to the People's Republic of Bangladesh, also once appointed to the Thailand Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York, and also playing an important role in various diplomatic processes, such as has been posted to India, Brazil. Allow us to invite Ambassador Arunrung to share her view on Mekong-Korea cooperation and perhaps looking into her perspective about what could be future directions. Ambassador, please.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And Your Excellency, Mr. Lee Uk-hon, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Thailand, Mr. Suryan Vichitlekakan, Executive Director of the Mekong Institute, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, Good morning, Annyeonghaseyo, and Sawadee. It is my great pleasure and honor to deliver the keynote speech entitled From Cooperation to Strategic Partnership, a Decade of Shared Development for People, Prosperity, and Peace at this regional forum. I appreciate the kind invitation extended to me. And on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, I would especially like to express our sincere congratulations to everyone involved in the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the Mekong-Republic of Korea Cooperation and the Mekong ROK Exchange Year 2021. At the outset, allow me to share with you certain key aspects of the Mekong-Republic of Korea's first decade of achievements. 10 years ago, 6 countries came together to form a partnership for peace, prosperity, and the peoples in the Mekong subregion. The Han River Declaration of 2011 sets forth the Mekong ROK Comprehensive Partnership for Mutual Prosperity. The ROK and the Mekong countries have pledged to work together with shared strategic objectives to bring about sustainable development and better livelihoods for the people by narrowing existing development gaps, while, on the other hand, optimizing the strong geo-economic potentials of the sub-region. The Mekong ROK's guiding principle since its inception has been on people, prosperity, and peace, which focuses on 7 priority areas of cooperation, namely culture and tourism, human resources development, agriculture and rural development, infrastructure, ICT, environment, and non-traditional security and challenges. These priority issues remain critical in our attempts to effectively deal with current and coming global and regional challenges of unprecedented consequences. We will hear distinguished speakers in later sessions to share with us their views on these issues and ways forward. Subsequently, and with the increasing intensity of geopolitical and geo-economic importance in the sub-region over time, leaders of the Mekong ROK met for the first time in 2019. They reaffirmed their political will and commitment to the pursuit of shared development of people, peace, and prosperity in the sub-region. The Mekong and Han River Declaration adopted at the first summit symbolizes our combined strengths as 2 middle powers and our ties of lasting friendship that bind both the ROK and Mekong countries. 1 river cannot move a mountain. 2 rivers can create still greater impacts. The declaration also sets a significant milestone for a framework towards a community that puts people first and an inclusive participation of quadruple partnership for all stakeholders, government, private sector, academics, and peoples in the Mekong ROK cooperation. As a result, the Mekong ROK Business Council was established. And this regional forum convened today. A year later, another milestone was achieved in 2020 at the second summit, with an elevation of the framework to the level of strategic partnership. This transformation demonstrated the firm commitment of the ROK to the Mekong subregion in line with the ROK's New Southern Policy and New Southern Policy Plus. The two are natural strategic partners and strategic autonomies working in synergy. The second summit also gave further impetus to our meaningful and productive cooperation at the onset of the COVID-19 outbreaks, when we needed our utmost concerted efforts to re-emerge as a better, safer, smarter, and greener subregion. The third milestone of the achievements was our creative invention of the Mekong ROK Cooperation Fund. And this fund has proven to be a pragmatic tool in helping member countries to implement development projects in line with the 7 priority areas for the subregion's sustainability and resilience in the post-COVID-19 recovery. In this regard, the Mekong countries appreciate the ROK for setting aside financial resources to support the Mekong ROK Cooperation Fund with an increasing amount year by year from $1 million USD in the first year to $4 million USD for this year, or around 11 million USD in total thus far. To date, over 30 projects have benefited from the Mekong ROK Cooperation Fund, including inter alia, projects on water resources management in small-scale community and sharing of experiences and best practices in controlling the COVID-19 outbreaks. The next practical step is to ensure that the results of the projects are further utilized and translated into concrete actions by relevant agencies of Mekong ROK member countries. And on this note, I wish to express our sincere thanks to the Mekong Institute, which has been designated as a coordinator for the Mekong ROK Cooperation Fund, for having done an exemplary job. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Mekong Institute on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of its establishment and for its tremendous contributions to the Mekong development and integration. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, let me now turn to the issue of a subregion of constructive cooperation. In a span of 20 years, a number of sub-regional cooperation frameworks have been established to advocate for the development of Mekong subregion. The subregion is located right in the very heart of the Indo-Pacific region with 260 million people, most of whom are working age in lands of abundant, untapped natural resources. We are situated between the Indian subcontinent in the west, with China to the north, and open maritime routes to the vast Pacific Ocean to the east. Before 2020, the economic growth of the mainland Southeast Asia has expanded at an average of 2 to 7% annually. Why? The new road and rail infrastructures have been developed for wider economic connectivity, trade and investment facilitation. It is no wonder that all eyes have been gravitating towards the Mekong subregion. At present, the World Bank has projected the annual growth rate of the subregion, excluding Myanmar, in parentheses, in 2021, ranging from 2 to 6%. Yet much remains to be done collectively. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand has recognized such potential and is well aware of the competing participation of major powers in the Mekong subregion. The Mekong Cooperation Unit was set up earlier this year to look after sub-regional cooperation frameworks. This includes the Mekong ROK and the Irrawaddy Chao Phraya Mekong Economic Cooperation Strategy, or ACMEX, which is the Mekong's homegrown sub-regional framework initiated by Thailand in 2003 and collectively led by the 5 Mekong countries. And Ambassador Lee Uk-hon has alluded very clearly at his opening speech the essence of ACMEX. And we look forward to continue working closely with the ROK for the sustainability of the Mekong subregion. We welcome meaningful contributions and roles of the external partners in synergy and complementarity with one another. In this regard, ACMEX is set to play a central role in coordinating these efforts, since it is composed of 5 Mekong countries as members and external partners as development partners. We are particularly thankful to the ROK, which is the first ACMEX development partner among the current 6 development partners. And ROK has contributed $1 million for the ACMEX ROK cooperation projects. 10 years on, the Mekong ROK has progressed steadily and become one of the most successful examples of the sub-regional cooperation frameworks. Sustained and strengthened over time, the framework has laid a solid foundation for our shared future and prosperity. There is no doubt that the ROK has proved to be the trusted friend of the Mekong subregion. The Korean proverb says, "There is nothing on this earth more prized than true friendship." Could be the fitting words for the relationship between the ROK and Mekong subregion, not only for the past 10 years, but for many more years to come. Excellency, distinguished participants, as we enter the second decade of the Mekong ROK, we have been, however, caught unprepared by numerous unprecedented challenges caused by the outbreaks of the COVID-19 pandemic and by its multifaceted impacts on economies and people's lives. Looking ahead to the shared future, we need to make sure that we are heading towards a full recovery that will not build back the same world we used to live in, but a recovery that will lead us to a better, safer, smarter, and greener prosperity. Towards this end, let me share with you a few common interests and issues. Firstly, the Mekong ROK is in a unique position to address these challenges, since it has put emphasis on people-centered partnership as its core value in tandem with peace and prosperity of the subregion. In addressing the public health crisis, the ROK has been providing the Mekong countries with vaccines, medical equipment, and supplies through bilateral, regional, and multilateral COVAX channels in a fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. These include technical assistance and capacity building, which are not only beneficial for meeting the current challenges, but also for the preparation to tackle future public emergencies. Thailand is a strong proponent for vaccine as a global public goods, which is in line with our standing universal health coverage policy. Therefore, we encourage the ROK and Mekong countries to continue to work together to ensure universal and equitable access of effective vaccines in a timely manner. In line with the ROK's plan to become a global vaccine hub by 2025, Mekong and ROK should expand cooperation in vaccine production, distribution, and R&D in the sub-region. Secondly, I would like to add another P in the Partnership for Peace, Prosperity, and People, which is the P Planet for Sustainability. Though left unstated so far, P Prosperity, actually P Planet, actually forms an integral part of our strategic partnership. We must find a balance between economic, social, and environmental dimensions. The most critical issue is the global climate crisis, which causes unpredictable droughts and floods, as well as water security issues in the Mekong sub-region, thereby affecting the livelihoods of the people. The ROK's Green New Deal and Digital New Deal are both visionary and action-oriented at the same time. These twin New Deals should be put into optimum use in addressing the pressing challenges mentioned earlier. Along with the Green New Deal, Thailand has adopted the bio-circular green economy model as a national agenda and also as post-pandemic growth strategy for sustained recovery. The BCG strives for more balanced growth, sustainable and inclusive development by utilizing science, technology, and innovation. I believe these Thai and Korean strategies are complementary for future cooperation in fostering green growth and competitiveness in the Mekong sub-region. Thirdly, the pandemic has also accelerated the arrival of the fourth industrial revolution. Digital transformation has been a new game changer, which is used in daily lives for economic transactions and social interactions, while physical distancing has become the norm of the day. Our meeting in a virtual format today is one such clear example. The ROK's expertise and experiences in Digital New Deal will play an important part in digital and technological transformation, especially in human capital development and for the MSMEs, so as to ensure that our manpower and MSMEs outlets are prepared and equipped with digital knowledge, skills, and literacy. The 9th Mekong ROK Business Forum to be held later this year will be another important platform to meet this objective. Fourthly, Mekong-ROK cooperation should further enhance physical and software connectivity in the subregion. Interoperability of rules and regulations along existing economic corridors and new growth nodes are to be expedited. This is not only to facilitate trade and investment, which surprisingly, the pandemic has not much affected the trading volumes between the ROK and the Mekong countries, but it has also aims at enabling the essential movements and interactions of people across borders. Equally important is ensuring that the subregion is part of a regional global supply chain. The people pillar of the Mekong-ROK cooperation is in fact a fundamental element of our strategic cooperation. Partnership for peace and prosperity cannot be attained nor achieved without partnership of the people. Future cooperation depends on future generation. I am therefore pleased that the ROK and Mekong countries have agreed on the extension of the Mekong-ROK exchange year 2021 to 2022, with a view to allowing physical interactions and exchanges among people and/or through digital channels and social media. We also appreciate the ROK's appointment of Mr. Lee Kwang-soo, a Korean actor, as the Mekong-ROK Goodwill Ambassador for the Mekong-ROK exchange year 2021 now to 2022. Maybe we will see Lisa of Blackpink on the same stage with Mr. Lee Kwang-soo someday. And we will count on the ROK's prominent soft power globally and regionally for a lively and active exchange year. And we look forward to it. On this note, I am pleased to share with you that the Royal Thai Embassy in Seoul is preparing to organize a webinar to connect Thai provinces along the Mekong River with the ROK by the first half of this year. The webinar will showcase the strengths and potentials of Thai provinces along the Mekong River, with a view to igniting ideas for future cooperation between Thai local communities and relevant Korean agencies, as well as trilateral cooperation between Thailand, the ROK, and other neighboring countries. Excellency, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the Mekong-ROK partnership has achieved a decade of shared development and peace, prosperity, and people. I strongly believe that this remarkable framework will continue to be a constructive and pragmatic platform for a disrupted world, not only for the promotion of a more people-centered partnership for peace and prosperity, but also for more meaningful actions to save our planet in decades ahead. I wish you all a successful regional forum, and I thank you all for your kind attention. Kamsa Hamnida Khop-kun-ka. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Arunrung, for your kind keynote presentation. I think we have learned a lot from your perspective, walking us through the journey of partnership between Mekong countries and Republic of Korea, guided by Mekong-Han River Declaration. I think we have also followed through a number of key milestone achievements that has fostered cooperation and partnership over the past number of years, among others, including Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund. And you specifically highlight the interconnection between Mekong-Korea Cooperation and also existing Mekong-related cooperation framework, among others, including ACMEX, which is a homegrown Mekong countries initiative, which could provide a lot of synergies and foster even closer cooperation. We enjoy very much looking into future as you have presented to us in terms of what could be further developed to foster closer cooperation and partnership to withstand challenges and issues such as COVID-19 pandemic, public health security, climate change, water security, and so on. We certainly look forward to an even more meaningful cooperation and partnership contributing to sustainable development for people, prosperity, peace, and planet, as has already pointed out by Ambassador Arun Rung. With that has been said, now we're going to look into how we could foresee future cooperation directions look like. In the course of future cooperation, surely we have to see a lot of issues and challenges. And today we are lucky enough to have one of the experts who have been in the region, also follow various cooperation. With us today would be Mr. Kavi Chongkit Thawon. He is the Senior Fellow of the Institute of Security and International Studies, Chulalongkorn University. Kun Kavi has been a journalist for over 3 decades, has been well known in the region on matters related to development diplomacy, ASEAN matters, and so on and so forth. He has also working as a journalist in Bangkok-based English language newspapers, The Nation. He also has been served as a special assistant to Secretary General of ASEAN from 1995 to 1996, and after that returned to journalism. At the moment, he also currently the affair commentator of Nation News Channel One World Program. So with that, Kun Kavi, could you help us to really portray what could be future challenges and how cooperation and partnership between Mekong countries and Republic of Korea could be further fostered and promoted in the future? Kun Kavi, please.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to join this program, and it's a very appropriate having listened to all the speaker. I have a very strong impression that Mekong is moving to the unprecedented development in the second decade. I have 3 big points. One, I will address Mekong in general, then I will focus on the roles of Korea, which is rather unique. And then my third point will be focusing on the future, much talk about challenges. When I was growing up, I think also Dr. Sri Yan and other, including Ambassador Arun Rung, Mekong in the Thai concept has been portrayed as a river of sorrow and bitterness. You probably remember we all grow up with the song, เอาความขมขื่นไปทิ้งแม่โขง Let toss the bitterness to the Mekong River 1963 รุ่งฤดีแพ่งผ่อนใส Now no more. Mekong has turned around. Mekong has now become the most contested area by all the world, the developed country, major power consortium, all want to have a hand feet into this region. That's number one I want to say. Secondly, talking about Korea, Korea has the most unique position in the world regarding of Mekong. I say this not because of Ambassador Lee or because of anyone, because of the uniqueness. 5 reasons. Number one, Korea is a middle power and has a very good appeal among generation X and Y millennium around the world. Number 2, Korea has no historical baggage that plague other major power in the region. directly or indirectly. Number 3, Korea actually is very independent in pursue its regional and global policy. I would say that Korea is very stubborn in this sense. There's no ulterior motive. When Korea approached to Mekong, that is why in 10 years, Korea has done a lot of progress. Number 4, it's very interesting that Korea finally realized that Mekong is the region that it can be a staging ground, a new niche for Korea diplomacy under the new South Plus. Number 5, which is very important. Korea in the past, say 5 years, has rise up within the ASEAN Plus 3 framework in competing with China and Japan. Now nobody can look down on Korean role within the ASEAN Plus 3 framework. So these are the qualifications that allow Korea to play the unique role in Mekong. Now, Ambassador Alunlung, Ambassador Lee have mentioned all the 3 Ps. I will focus on the prospect and the futures of Korean role in Mekong. On the remaining 2 pillars, our 2 ambassadors focus on prosperity pillar. I would like to focus on peoples and peace pillar, because I think these 2 pillars, apart from prosperity wise, Korea can do a lot more. First, on the people pillar, Korea must have the most advantage because Korean K-pop is very popular. It has alleviated the Korean profile, not only in the region, but in the world. So Korea must use whatever it's had, the influence in K-pop, to improve communication between Korea and among the people in Mekong region. You have to facilitate that because everybody know K-pop. They know Korean TV series. So you have to use this facilitator. I would think outside the box. Ambassador Arunrung mentioned Lalita. This is a phenomenon. This is a clear expression of the best mixture of Korean culture and Mekong culture, in this case from Buriram, Lalita. And I think if you mix it together, it will become Mekong version of bibimbap. You know, with Korean, we call it khao yam. With you see the latest video of Lalita, it has the best innovative video presentation of Korea. Dances choreographer from Korea with Thai flavor, with Isan flavor. This is the most amazing combination, which I think Korean must use and maximize this. Use this, expand it so that it become Mekong culture, become Mekong way of life. And Korea could be the stimulant, could be the facilitator, incubator. And I think this is a phenomenon. I was so shocked to watch Lalita video. I never thought that it would be possible for anyone to do this. And now I'm convinced that Korea K-pop can be utilized to promote intra-Mekong communication using Korea and using local Mekong culture. I can see, you know, next you will see Laotian, Lam Wong, you know, mixing with K-dance, just like Lalita mixing the Thai costume with the modern flare. Okay, that I'm trying to think outside the box by focusing on people's pillars. The second pillar is much more important because Korea now is moving, as the title suggests, moving from developing partner into much more strategic slant. This is important. That is why I like to focus on peace pillar. And it's very important of all the major power that engage in the Mekong region. I must say that Mekong region now is the battlefield for strategic competitor of all major powers. South China Sea has already been the area that you have seen, but now Mekong will be at the forefront. And Korea is one of the major power, I believe, that can strengthen Mekong's strategic autonomy and prevent any major power from forming hegemonic domination. I think South Korea, which is strong, and I would say again, stubborn foreign policy, you know, every time I watch Korea, I was so amazed how many times South Korea stood up against America, its allies, you know, very strong allies since the end of World War, since the end of the Korean War. So Korea, very independent thinking, can not only improve our Mekong strategic autonomy, also Korea can propel, make sure that this region will not come under any hegemonic domination by any power. The most important thing that Korean can do is to associate strongly with ASEAN outlook for the Indo-Pacific. This is very important because if you look carefully, AOIP of ASEAN, in the middle is the Mekong mainland, Mekong strategy. If Mekong cooperation, strategic autonomy remains strong, overall ASEAN position in the Indo-Pacific will also be strong. That is why I'm so happy that Korea has been the first dialogue partner that put money into ECMEC fund. That's very important. Number two, you also within the second year, you have upgraded Mekong dialogue into a comprehensive strategic partner. This is very, very important. And I also would like to emphasize that Mekong relation with Korea under President Moon Jae-in has unique character. Number one, no other leader has traveled, Korean leader has traveled to ASEAN country and met all of that in 2 years. Secondly, in 2019, believe it or not, Moon Jae-in spent nearly a week in Busan and in Seoul trying to acquaint with leaders from Mekong. And I think that's unique. This is why personal rapport between Moon Jae-in and ASEAN leader were very good. And I think this is very important. And I think this is one character that Western leader failed to understand, particularly President Trump. Leadership rapport, participation is the most important. That explains why Moon Jae-in quickly established leadership rapport with ASEAN, and within 1 week, they get along so fine. And this paved the way for future cooperation that I said, whether it will be people's pillar and the peace pillar that move into more strategic aspect. And finally, I wish with Southeast Asia people, you know, hooked to a Korean TV series, but they still lacking of substantive communication in the media between Mekong and Korean media. We take too much from Korea, one-sided. It's a lopsided way. I hope to see that there will be better exchange of new and the so-called the dynamic that Ambassador Lee talked about, the dynamic that Ambassador Rung Arun talked about, and what I'm trying to say. You know, very few people touch on the Lalisa phenomenon. I think there will be much bigger Lalisa phenomenon in the future if media focus on the ability to combine the best of Mekong and the best of Korean K-pop, IT, social media, whatever there is, and combine it together. And I think it will promote even further Korean role in Mekong. Thank you. I want to stop here.
Thank you very much, Kun Kavi, for providing us some of your observation, learning how Mekong region has been evolving from the so-called bitterness kind of analogy referring to the old traditional old song, Thai song, to now a fast-growing region. You emphasize Republic of Korea uniqueness and also strategic partnership in the region and also ASEAN in a larger context. I think we appreciate your observation about contribution of Republic of Korea in collaboration with Mekong countries, particularly from two pillars, namely people and peace, and of course by giving an example of cross-fertilized art and culture through K-pop and Korean series could be something perhaps we could see more in the near future. So with that, thank you very much once again. Allow us to continue to hear perspective since the people and peace pillar has been emphasized by Kun Kavi. There is another pillar which is on prosperity, and this has been touched upon by Ambassador Lee and Ambassador Alunlung before. But there's much more to explore and to see how this area of prosperity through Mekong and Republic of Korea trade and economic partnership could be further promoted. There are issues, there are challenges, and way perhaps we can find a best way to promote cooperation in the future. Today, we are lucky enough to have a colleague and also partner, Mr. Madhuja Kumarduta. He is currently the Director and Chief of Party of the USAID Mekong Sustainable Manufacturing Alliance, or MSMA, led by the Institute of Sustainable Communities, ISC. Prior to his current position, Mr. Dutta was the Director of Trade and Investment Facilitation of Mekong Institute, again, our extended family member. He has been also appointed as advisor to Cambodia, India Entrepreneurship Development Institute, and also conferred an honorary advisor to the government of Cambodia through royal degree by Prime Minister and King of Kingdom of Cambodia. Mr. Dutta, walk us through what are contribution of Mekong Korea to the prosperity and how many more years to come we can see trade and economic partnership look like. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Surian. A very good morning to all of you. Excellency, Mr. Lee Woo-Kong, Excellency, Ms. Arunrung Futong-Hongpris, Mr. Surian again, and distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a very good morning to all of you, and also let me extend my sincere thanks to Embassy of Republic of Korea in Thailand and also Mekong Institute for giving me this opportunity to join this important forum. Some of my earlier speakers have already discussed on the background of the Mekong-ROK Cooperation. So let me focus more on the perspective of trade and economic relations. May I request the organizer to kindly share the screen of my PowerPoint presentation? Yeah. Can we move to the next slide, please? So let me begin with the background on the Han River Declaration. The Mekong-Korea Cooperation, as we all know, has launched through the Han River Declaration of establishing the Mekong-ROK Comprehensive Partnership for Mutual Prosperity in 2011, with the priority areas of cooperation in connectivity. That's mostly focusing on infrastructure and ICT, sustainable development, focusing on green growth, water resources development, and also people's-oriented development, that is on agriculture and rural development, human resource development, and also on non-traditional security, which was being added at the later stage. And now this cooperation has been elevated to a strategic partnership to focus more on the improved joint work in priority areas and strengthen resilience capacity of regional supply chains and business operations. So I'm trying to focus what are the elements of economic cooperations between ROK and the Mekong. And looking into more deeper collaboration through private sector engagement through business and investment opportunities. It is equally important to identify the Mekong dimension in the new southern policy of Korea, which is termed as the Republic of Korea Mekong vision. It is a kind of a pragmatic cooperation for economic diversification to promote common prosperity, mainly in 3 areas. One is on sharing Korea's experience in rural development and technological change. Second, on advancing sustainability in areas mainly on forest conservation and water resources development. And at the same time, promoting peace by moving beyond economic cooperation into other areas of people-to-people exchange, culture, and tourism, which Ambassador Lee and Professor Kavi already highlighted. Next slide, please. Mekong Korea Business Forum has been an important event which are held every year since 2013. This aims to basically promote trade and investment among the Mekong countries and the Republic of Korea. The main objective of these forums are basically to facilitate trade partnership and also promote private sector investments and exchanges among the private sector businesses and other collaborations. This event basically provides opportunities for the participants from the Mekong countries and the Republic of Korea on business seminars, on emerging trade and investment topics, and on business matching sessions. These are basically business-to-business meetings that provide opportunities for business collaboration. There is also a scope to exhibit products through product exhibition to showcase products and services. And also gives networking opportunities among the Korean businesses and the Mekong businesses. So in the last years, 8 years, we have so far 8 events being conducted in this region, out of which 7 were hosted in the Mekong countries, 1 in each, and also 1 in Seoul. And you'll notice that most of these forums were based on specific themes and which were being identified in alignment with the Republic of Korea's regional policy to address common issues, to promote trade and investment in the Mekong countries. For these events, ROK collaborates mostly with the Mekong countries to design and implement these forums. And more importantly, follow-up actions are also an important element of these events. So all these events, over 3,000 business leaders have already participated. This represents business leaders, industry experts, manufacturers, technology suppliers, financiers, and also investment promotion agencies and medias participated in all these events. Next slide, please. These initiatives, whether it is the business forums or other bilateral investments and ODAs, have helped the Republic of Korea and Mekong countries to grow its trade from 34.1 billion in 2011 to 83.6 billion in 2020. So this is the latest figures that we have. So you will notice that the two-way trade sustained to 2019 levels, which is at 83.7 billion, despite having pandemic. So we are upholding the trade relations to the figures of 2020. So you can see that almost like in 2019, we had like 83 billion trade, and in 2020, it's slightly less, It's just 83.6 billion. Next slide, please. Let us take an overview of trade indicators in terms of Korea's total trade with the world and where Mekong region stands. Here you will notice that Korea's import from Mekong countries was 26.6 billion USD in 2020. In comparison to Korea's import from the world, which was at 46.7 billion. So this shows that import from Mekong constituted nearly 5.6% out of Korea's total import from the world in 2020. This is quite a significant amount. From this, it is evident that import from Korea has been also consistent in the last 3 years, despite the pandemic. Although there are variations in trade when we look at individual country data. I will not elaborate more on the statistics. So these slides will be available. So if there is anything, the interested parties can definitely get to me. Next slide, please. Okay. The foreign direct investment flows. Can you go back, please? I think one slide is missing here. Can you go back one slide more back? Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Here we look at the foreign direct investment flows from 2016 to 2019 to the Mekong countries. In terms of FDI, we noticed that Vietnam is the highest recipient with around 16.12 billion US dollar in 2019, which is being followed by Thailand with 4.1 billion USD. Then Cambodia with 3.7, Myanmar with 2.7 billion, and Laos with 0.5 billion US dollar. Korean investment in Vietnam has been a success story. Korea remains by far the largest foreign investor in Vietnam. The FDI in the period from 2016 to 2019 amounted to around 58.7 billion. At the same time, Korean investment in Thailand during 2016 to 2019 was 23 million. It was at peak in 2018 with 10.1 billion, but declined in 2019 with 4.1 billion. We look at the outward FDI, overseas foreign direct investment from Korea to Mekong, has also increased significantly. It's starting from US $29 billion in 2016, Korea's OFDI reached around 35 billion in 2019. That is a cumulative investment of nearly 137.7 billion US dollar. Such a performance of Korea FDI is quite remarkable when discussing Korea's FDI inflows. The main attraction of Korean firms or the companies to invest in the Mekong country is due to the active support from the governments and also institutional aid from the Republic of Korea. And they're also seeking for efficiency in the market due to the limited size of Korean market. At the same time, I think there is also potential to attract Korean FDI by other Mekong countries, mostly Cambodia, Laos, PDR, and Myanmar. Next slide, please. Let us look at Mekong Korea's economic relation from the perspective of current status and prospect. If we look at the current status, the external factors such as changing investment and trade patterns with China are a basic element of influencing the economies in the Mekong subregion. At the same time, removal of preferential trade access to EU market, especially for Cambodia under the EBA trade scheme, will be negatively impacting the Cambodia's sector, particularly the garment sector. So it's important for Cambodia to diversify the economy, particularly in agriculture and also food processing industry. That could offer some kind of strong avenue for Korean investors. Vietnam also constitutes the larger volume of trade, as we have seen, with around 79 billion US dollar. Thailand has relatively little trade and investment with Korea in comparison to its geographical advantage and scale. Most of the trade are in industrial and consumer goods. Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, trade basket has generally focused on clothing, sewing, construction, equipments, and agriculture food. Considering the status, there are prospects also for improvement. As for instance, Thailand has high possibility of cooperation, particularly in convergence and innovative sectors, such as the Policy 4.0 industrial, fourth industrial revolution, as well as ICT and creative economy. In Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, there's a continual increase in human exchanges, so that I think it is necessary to focus on improving the quality of human capacity by linking with technical and new skills. CLMA countries have the potential to attract Korean FDI due to its cheap labor. We also see that Vietnam is poised to be a major partner in the global value chain and will continue to participate, particularly in the production of mobile phones and electronic products. Please move on to the next slide. Let us look into the opportunities for Republic of Korea. Developing quality infrastructure in the Mekong sub-region will be crucial for job creation and also diversifying and strengthening the Mekong economies. There are three basic key areas where infrastructure improvement is required. That is mainly on access to digital infrastructure, reliable energy, and developing infrastructure for regional connectivity. Earlier speakers have also mentioned about the Mekong economic corridors. So I think a lot of work needs to be done, particularly with the emerging nodes in the corridors. New industries, particularly Mekong countries, are interested in building new industries that combine information, communication, and technology with agriculture, manufacturing, and services. So these three are more important aspects to integrate ICT in agriculture, manufacturing, and service. Korea and Mekong countries have complementary interest in the fourth industrial revolution, which Thailand has already established and is looking for, and we can expect some synergies if this is combined to improve the innovative capacities. As a critical part of this cooperation, there are also scope to be involved in building human capital for the future industries in the Mekong and share technologies for the fourth industrial revolution. In this process, it is equally important to build a robust, sustainable, and resilient manufacturing sector to promote trade and investment. Adoption of environmental and social safeguards to protect natural resources, sustain economic growth, and improve governance are important elements in the process of industrial development. For quality or sustainable infrastructure for regional connectivity, active participation in regional connectivity measures such as building a city network, industrial clusters, cross-border cooperation could combine to strengthen the supply chain of sourcing materials from and within the region, and that to basically boost trade and investment for a balanced trade. Investments in quality infrastructure, the Mekong sub-region requires also increased linkages between foreign direct investment and the domestic firms to remain competitive and provide employment opportunities for the workforce. So FDI can play a key role in developing new industries and also a source of funding. Korea can also play a significant role in strengthening the regional manufacturing synergies and the ecosystem in advancing environmental and social best practices so that the manufacturing and the trade sector can become more sustainable and competitive. Furthermore, there are opportunities for the Republic of Korea and Mekong to maximize the leverage of triangular cooperation in the existing frameworks such as ECMEC, also BIMSTEC and GMS program. And this will enable to establish strategic linkages with the United States, Japan, and India, and build synergies in the Mekong ROK programs and projects. Next, please. Let me also look at the role of development partners. Development partners has an increasing role, particularly to ensure enhanced trade and investments that results in green and equitable development in the Mekong. This could potentially be through donor contributions and also technical assistance, particularly for environment, social, and governance practices. As for instance, the project that's being funded by the United States Agency for International Development, Mekong Sustainable Alliance, Manufacturing Alliance is also promoting ESG adoption among the manufacturers in Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. And this project is also trying to build a regional ESG ecosystem in the manufacturing sector. So such initiative should also support like cross-sector collaboration, such as public-private partnership to strengthen Mekong regional integration for enhanced competitiveness of the region. There are also emerging opportunities for development finance contributions, financial contributions, particularly in areas of COVID. Republic Korea has been actively supporting the Mekong countries in COVID response and recovery measures. But at the same time, there are also opportunities for development finance institutions from Korea to tailor their support in COVID recovery financing, since large number of manufacturers, particularly SMEs, have been greatly affected in this COVID situation. So I think it is important for the development finance institutions to develop some kind of COVID recovery financing tools and products. And such financing or lending should incorporate ESG practices in their lending decisions, and also on green financing, and also include finance on social aspects like gender are equally important in the process of COVID recovery, particularly in the manufacturing sector. So with these words, I would like to thank you all for listening to me, and I welcome any comments during the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dutta, for sharing your perspective, particularly highlight one of the three important pillars of the Mekong-Korea partnership, that is on prosperity. I think one of the milestone achievement initiative is the Mekong-Korea Business Forum that already outlined opportunity for closer cooperation on trade, economic, and also business-to-business exchange. We also see some sort of increasing trend, both in terms of trade, economic partnership from Mekong countryside, Republic of Korea, and there's much more opportunity that we can explore in the coming years. You also underline the importance of leveraging Mekong and Republic of Korea Cooperation on existing Mekong-related cooperation framework. And that will contribute not only in terms of stronger cooperation and partnership between the two parties, but also facilitate more prosper and also green and sustainable economy. Let us hear more on issues that might be raised during the Q&A. Before going to the next session, let me just handing over to my colleague Sanjita for some announcement.
Thank you, Khun Suryan. Thank you to the distinguished guests, speakers, honorable speakers, Ambassador Arunrung, Mr. Kavi, and Mr. Dutta for the excellent and thought-provoking session. We are sure there are several questions in minds of people, and we request Mr. Dutta and Mr. Kavi to stay on till the Q&A session. We have started receiving questions. We would request the guests who would like to ask questions to keep your questions brief, please, and identify the speaker to whom you want to ask the question. Identify yourself, including your organization, and use the Q&A function to send your question. We will come back to the questions at the end of the second session. So the next session, that is the second session, is a panel discussion. The topic is the role of ROK in development of Mekong region. The speakers are Mr. Suryan Vichitlekan, who will brief you on Mekong-Korea Cooperation Funds, Mr. Lee Sang-hoon, who will speak about overall Mekong-Korea development cooperation, Mr. Lertfan Sukiran, who will speak about Mekong-Korea cooperation in relation to water management, Dr. Penina Oberdorfer, who will speak on Mekong-Korea cooperation on health, security, and Ms. Amanda J. Van Den Duel, who will speak on US-Mekong partnership. So the first speaker of the session of the panel discussion will be Mr. Suryan Vichitlikan, who will speak on Korea's development cooperation in Mekong countries.
Thank you, Sanchita, and I'm back again in order just to provide you the role of Republic of Korea in development of Mekong region through the implementation of Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund. So allow me just to walk through the slide and also provide a bit of a status of how Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund has been implemented. So in the capacity of the coordinator and manager of Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund, Mekong City has been privileged and honored to be entrusted by Republic of Korea government to support the implementation of this fund. As you already have seen from the earlier speaker, that Mekong region remain to be a very established platform for countries to cooperate on a range of issues. At the same time, the region also explore complementarity and synergies within the expanding Asian regionalism. Recognizing the importance of sub-regional cooperation in the Mekong region, the Republic of Korea launched the Mekong-Republic of Korea Partnership in 2011. One of the important instruments in support of Mekong-Korea Cooperation is the Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund, or MKCF. This was established since 2013. As earlier explained, Mekong Institute has been entrusted to manage and administer the fund as well as support the project administration. There are 4 goals that has been made so far with a total of 26 projects, and the 5th call is being processed. MKCF projects are selected and managed through calls for proposal with a predefined process and regularly reviewed by the senior officials of Mekong and Republic of Korea Cooperation. MKCF project help address the need of Mekong countries and foster cooperation between Mekong countries and Republic of Korea. At the same time, the projects also provide platforms of collaboration and exchange with other similar initiatives to ensure complementarities, enhance synergies and impacts on the ground. Plans of actions support the implementation of Mekong-Korea Cooperation Framework during the 2014 to 2017, as well as 2017 and 2020. There were 6 priority sectors included for the Mekong-Korea Cooperation Fund projects. Only for the plan of action for 2021 to 2025, this has been a new action plan that serves the guidelines of setting specific goals and measures to build a partnership for people, prosperity, and peace, as proclaimed by Mekong-Han River Declaration, which was adopted by the summit in 2019. At present, priorities areas cover culture and tourism, human resources development, agriculture and rural development, infrastructure, information communication technology, environment, and non-traditional security challenges. During COVID-19 pandemic, several ongoing projects also support discussion and exchange in responses and recovery measures, such as in the area of agriculture, tourism, use of digital technology, and so on. This is also to show and demonstrate the flexibility that MKCF project has been implemented that foster the ongoing issue and challenges faced by both Mekong country and Republic of Korea. From the 4 calls, there are altogether 26 projects approved for implementation. These include 9 completed projects, 13 ongoing projects, and 4 approved projects, but in the process of formalization and commencement. The 5th call is being processed, which is envisaged to be finalized by the end of this year. In a nutshell, Looking from the ongoing projects, there are a number of topics that MKCF has been providing support. For example, promoting smart and sustainable tourism to ensure that this is not only foster the people-to-people connectivity, but also help to boost the economic cooperation. In terms of use of information and statistics for better policy planning, leadership and capacity building program, so that we can ensure that human capacity are equipped in order to foster economic development and cooperation. Promoting agricultural supply chain using soil, water, and nutrient management will help to contribute to greater productivity in agriculture sector, supporting migration of rural development to ensure that the workforce supporting the sector and the development. The use of electronic origin data exchange systems provide a basis of leveraging a better trade and economic cooperation, strengthening logistics, monitoring and evaluation database will help foster the widening development in the logistics sector, as well as development of regional cooperation project monitoring in order to foster closer cooperation. There are a number of projects working in area of environment, such as green buildings, water data utilization for water management along the Mekong River Basin, climate-related disaster hazard zoning map, as well as circular economy. This is just some of the ongoing projects that's being supported and implemented by MKCF. There are much more information that I would like to provide, but instead of doing so, may I invite the audience to kindly visit the website, which has been provided on the top of the slide. So you would know much more about MKCF and the MKCF project. Since the establishment of MKCF and project implementation, MKCF has contributed to closer cooperation among Mekong countries and Republic of Korea. Through various project areas, MKCF project support exchange of knowledge and expertise that address the need of the countries and foster closer cooperation and partnership among countries and wider stakeholders. Even in times of COVID-19 pandemic, MKCF project also allow for flexibility to support development of response and recovery measures, paving the way for sustainable development and greater partnership, as earlier guided by the pillars of peace, prosperity, and also connectivity. Well, with that, once again, I would like to thank Republic of Korea for the trust given to the Mekong Institute to coordinate and manage the MKCF. I wish to take this opportunity to thank all Mekong countries and Republic of Korea for support and guidance, and look forward to working closely with the Republic of Korea and Mekong countries in the implementation of MKCF fund and also the projects in the future. With that, thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Khun Suryan, for giving us a brief, very brief background and update on Mekong Korea Cooperation Fund projects. We invite all the guests who would like to know more to go to the link that was provided in the presentation to know more about us. Now, to carry on the rest of the panel discussion, I would invite Mr. Suryan back to moderate the rest of the discussions. Mr. Suryan, please.
Thank you, Sanchita. Another perspective we would like to hear is also to see the role of Republic of Korea in the development of Mekong region. But this time around, we will see the perspective from Korea International Cooperation Agency from Mr. Lee Sung-hoon, who is the manager of Department of Development Strategy and Portfolio Management, who bring with him a vast experience of KOIGA from various countries, such as in Iraq, in Middle East, Central Asia, and he is now also taking some of the assignment in various occasions representing Republic of Korea government in support of the development in Asia and also in time of disaster, such as in case of Lao PDR. So with that, Mr. Lee Sung-hoon, if you could kindly share with us your perspective about the role and contribution of Republic of Korea to the development in Mekong region. Over to you, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be invited amongst distinguished panel members. My name is Lee Sung-hoon, a member of Department of Development Strategy and Portfolio Management at KOICA Seoul. I'm in charge of KOICA's new Southern Strategy. Today, I will speak about development cooperation between Mekong and the Republic of Korea briefly. May I share my presentation on the screen?
Yes, you will be able to share your presentation.
Excuse me, there's no function to sharing screen. Now I see. Thank you. Yes, so 2017 was a significant moment for Korean ASEAN and Korean Mekong development cooperation history. Korean government announced new southern policy at the Indonesia-Korea Business Forum in 2017. Since the announcement, Korean development cooperation in ASEAN countries has achieved a qualitative and quantitative success. At the ASEAN Korea Summit in 2018, Korean government has vowed to double the grant aid in 2022 compared to that of 2017. This goal was achieved in 2021, this year, a year earlier than proposed. Korean government's grant aid in ASEAN region that amounted to $124 million reached $301 million in 2021. Along with the increase of Korean government's ODA in ASEAN nations, ODA in Mekong region has expanded greatly. According to statistics of Korean ODA in 2020, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos were among the top 10 countries supported by Korean ODA, each ranking 1st, 5th, 6th, and 10th place respectively. As a measure to respond to the impact of COVID-19 crisis in ASEAN nations, Korean government planned to increase the public health ODA in the region by twofold. In order to strengthen public health capability and cooperation of health services in the region. In this context, Korean government established ODA Korea, Building Trust, a development cooperation strategy for developing countries facing challenges of the COVID-19 crisis and achieving sustainable mid long-term growth. Here, trust stands for transparency, resilience, unity, and safety together. Under the Building Trust strategy, KOICA developed the agenda for building resilience against COVID-19 through development cooperation, which is called ABC program. You can see from the screen. The program consists of 3 parts. First, action on fragility, which supports nations with fragile health systems. Second, the building capacity, which strengthens the management systems of infectious disease. Third, comprehensive cooperation, which aims for greater global solidarity applying to experiences of Korea. In 2020, KOICA has implemented 219 projects with 26 Asian countries, totals up to 26 million USD. With the Mekong region, there are 13 projects amounting to 2 million USD in Cambodia, 14 projects amounting to 1.6 million USD in Laos. Also 17 projects amounting to 2.5 million USD in Myanmar. And lastly, 15 projects amounting to 1.8 billion USD in Vietnam. At the Republic of Korea Vietnam Summit held during the UN General Assembly last September, Korean government promised over 1 million COVID-19 vaccine doses to Vietnam by October. This is the first case in which Korean government provided direct vaccine support instead of financial support to a foreign country. Korean government's new Southern policy has signaled a new chapter in Korea-ASEAN and Korea-Mekong relations. Although Korean-Mekong Development Cooperation relations has shown significant growth, standalone approach projects administered by a single institutions cannot properly respond to global crises such as climate and pandemic crisis. Instead of existing standalone approaches, Korean government and KOICA strive for a holistic approach of development cooperation programs. Within the multi-agency and multi-measure, multinational, and multi-sector context. An example of such program is KOICA's Peace Village Development Program in the Mekong region. The Peace Village Development Program is a 10-year integrative program from 2020 to 2030, designed to assist Mekong nations overcome the scars of war and reach prosperity with elimination of unexploded mines and ordnance, victim support, and agricultural development. In 2021, there are currently 4 ongoing projects with 4 additional projects planned for 2022. KOICA intends to promote various holistic approach programs for global solidarity in the post-COVID-19 and climate crisis era. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for a brief overview of how the Republic of Korea has playing an important role in the development in Mekong countries and also through Mekong-Korea Cooperation. I think the role of Korea International Cooperation Agency in the implementation of New Southern Policy has been also one of the very instrumental efforts and contribution to the development. I think you have outlined some of the key examples, such as in terms of COVID-19 pandemic initiative, and also holistic approach for the inclusive cooperation by KOICA. That are some of the initiatives that's been implemented. I would hope that in the future there will be opportunity where cooperation with KOICA could be further promoted as part of support to Mekong-Korea Cooperation. Allow us to continue to the next speaker, who will provide a perspective of how the role of Republic of Korea has been made in Mekong countries' development from the water management perspective. We are fortunate enough to have a representative from the Office of the National Water Resources Office of the Prime Minister Thailand, Mr. Lertpan Sukiran, who is the Water Resource Management Specialist. He has been working in this area of water management in Thailand and Mekong region for a number of years, and also has been the recognized expert in area of water use efficiency and water management. He will walk us through some of the recent development and what could be issues and contribution in terms of more efficient, more effective water management in Mekong countries and the role of Republic of Korea. Khun Lertpan, if you are ready, please, over to you.
Thailand. Before starting my presentation, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mekong Institute MI for inviting the speaker from ONBR to join in this regional forum. My appreciation go to the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in cooperation with the MI to organize this virtual forum to be the platform in addressing the point of shared insight and perspective, achievement and progress of Mekong and Republic of Korea Cooperation. And I am very glad to be here as part of this event. Next, please. For the outline today, my talk will focus on two key issues. The first topic, I will talk about the national water resources management. The second topic, I will focus on how the cooperation contribute to 20-year master plan and vice versa. Next, please. Now let's move to my first topic. Thailand water resource management has reformed since 2017. The reform of our national water resource management based on 4 main pillars. They are 20-year master plan, Water Act law, instill and knowledge, innovation technology. Of course, all pillars are related to each other. However, innovation would be an important driving tool for improving water resource management efficiency from this figure. Next, please. For the 4 pillars, let me talk. The first pillar is 20-year water resource master plan, which focuses on policy, national strategy, and reformation plan. The 20-year water resource master plan is considered important as a cornerstone in the major reform of national water resource management. It is a tool rely the framework and structure of work, the scope and approach to move forward the management of water resource in the efficiency way. There are 6 important goals, which environment friendly is one of them. Moreover, according to master plan under the national strategy, there are 23 issues, and issue 19 is water resource management, which focus on water security, water productivity and value, and conservation, and also restoration national water costs. Therefore, 20-year water resource master plan aim to support the master plan issue 19. Next, please. The second pillar is establishment of the policy institutional framework, which consists of National Water Resource Committee, ONBR, which ourselves, and River Basin Committee and Water User Association. The pillar is a heart of the system reform of the national water management. Since in the past, the management of Thailand national water resource was scattered and overlapped among the 48 agencies, creating a lack of unity and connectivity in management. So the Office of the National Water Resources on BUR was established as a policy body in integrating management of the water resource of the entire country, for whole country. A River Basin Committee consists of the representative from related government representative in the area and the representative of the people in the respective river basin. We have 22 river basin right now. As lastly, the Water User Association. Next, please. For the National Water Resource Committee is to consist of the Prime Minister as the chair of the committee. The second, the Deputy Prime Minister assigned by the Prime Minister as the vice chair of the committee. The last is Secretary General on the BUR as the Secretary of the committee. For the River Basin Committees, it composed of government agency and local administrative agency, organization, and various sectors involved. Next, please. Let's move to the water law, which is the first time in Thailand history that we have the Act on National Water Resource effective in 2018, the first law on water resource in Thailand. There are 8 scopes of enforcement, which are allocation, user, development, organization, maintenance, recovery, conservative of water resource and water right. Next, please. What we need more, the fourth pillar is knowledge, innovation, technology. On the BUR cooperate on water and policy level with international partners while supporting the change of knowledge, expertise, and experience from foreign countries to be adapted for use in Thailand management of water resource. On the BUR, expand the cooperation with related government agency and academics, such as with the 12 universities in Thailand to exchange innovative research development and academic development in all fields, including engineering and science, social science, humanity, and management. Next, please. And also the international cooperation. On the BUR also expand the cooperation to the international stage with the worldwide country to engage all sectors in water resource management in all dimensions as the policy organization to be strategy partners. For the bilateral, we have the cooperation with the United States. For example, Australia, China, Israel, Japan, and Korea. For the Europe, we have the France, Germany, Hungary, and Netherlands. And also we have the multilateral LMC, LMI, MRC, and so on. And also we have the organization, Asia Water Council, World Bank, for example. Being as a hub of water sector between Thailand and worldwide country is aligned with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, being the water diplomatics for sustainable as the inclusive growth in the water management. Next, please. For the bilateral Korea, in the aspect of bilateral cooperation, BUR has the MOU on water resource management with the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Korea. There are 2 cooperation projects under the MOU, namely first, the project on the establishment of the water resource system, water management system based on the satellite and ICT technology. And the second, the project of the impact assessment of the Phetchaburi flood drainage canal to the coastal ecology, especially the cooperation project on ground monitoring system based on satellite data between Thailand and Korea, aim to exchange gap and need and knowledge on water management system based on satellite and ICT, focusing on drought in the North Khong Basin and Northeast Khong Basin in Thailand. This project is like as a green technology follow the new Southern policy, the signature foreign policy initiative by President Moon Jae-in of the Republic of Korea to be a partnership in the technology and sustainable management. Next, please. And also for the data sharing. Under the multilateral cooperation, we are engaged in this cooperation under Mekong River Commission or MRC, we are in the Secretariat of the Thai National Mekong Committee, TNMC, and the office of the TNMC Secretariat is under ONVR operation. Next, please. This is the cooperation between MRC and Korea implementation of the MOU with the Korean Development Institute, KDI, and K-Water. For the power of the partnership, to summarize my presentation, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, what we have to do now is to strengthening regional initiative to overcome existing challenge by either human regulated or national inductive factors. To do this, we need connectivity and global cooperation to secure fresh water and for next generation. I strongly believe, would encourage us all to mitigate flood and drought impacts by opening the window of the opportunity by building one data platform in Mekong River Basin, conducting a co-study with the country who share the same river, utilizing existing mechanism to verify the cause of the impacts so that we can altogether solve the root of the problem. Before ending my presentation, I would like to remark just the word that data sharing. The two small words, but a lot for its meaning to the future promise of the regional and sub-regional prosperity and sustainability that generate greater synergy between Mekong and Republic of Korea Cooperation to contribute the power of the partnership that we can trust. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kun Lertpan, for sharing your perspective, particularly contribution of Republic of Korea in the area of water management. This is very important as a cross-cutting development area that contribute to people, prosperity, and peace in Mekong region, and also greater partnership with Republic of Korea. You have outlined a number of areas. You have highlighted data sharing for better management of Mekong River and also effective utilization of water resources. I do hope that this will continue to be an area where we'll see the contribution of Republic of Korea and Mekong countries in the future. Allow me just to go to the next topic, which is also equally important, particularly in time of this COVID-19, where we are looking at response, recovery of COVID-19 pandemic, and at the same time looking in terms of importance of public health security. We are lucky enough to have Dr. Penina Oberdorfer. She is the head of the Infectious Disease Division Department of Pediatrics, Faculty of Medicine, Chiang Mai University, Thailand. Professor Dr. Penina has brought with us a vast experience from her professional career. She holds the master degree in clinical epidemiology from Center of Clinical Epidemiology and Biostatistics from University of Newcastle from Australia, PhD in behavioral science in relation to medicine from the Hunter Center for Health Advancement, University of Newcastle, Australia as well. She has been the author for more than 200 peer-reviewed international journal articles, several books on HIV, infectious disease among children and adolescents, tuberculosis, infection control in hospital. She's been also involved in a numerous national disease control committee in Thailand, including HIV, tuberculosis, and dengue fever in children. So, Professor Dr. Penina, if you're ready, please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And may I have my clip, please? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Penina Oberdorfer. I'm working at Faculty of Medicine, Chiang Mai University. I'm holding the position of the head of pediatric infectious diseases at the Department of Pediatrics. I'm involved in the academic and also research, especially in the areas of pediatric infectious diseases and new vaccines. Firstly, I would like to thank you to Republic of Korea and also Mekong Institute, who has been inviting me. Today, I just would like to share to you as the part of my expertise on health security. As the part of the cooperation through strategic partnership, the purpose of this project is to share and cooperate the development for people, prosperity, and peace. So my outline would going to be into 3 parts, which are firstly, the overview of my talk, secondly, the burden of disease in Mekong region, and the last one is going to be strategic plans. Now let me start my presentation. Firstly, I would like to start with the map of Mekong region. As we know, it includes all regions of Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Since the project focuses on 3 pillars of people, prosperity, and peace, we therefore aim to, firstly, help narrow the development gap in this region as much as possible. And secondly, to enhance connectivity in Asia by strengthening cooperation, including between the Mekong countries and the Republic of Korea. The aims of Republic of Korea actually focuses on prioritized development support in areas where it can have the great impacts. It fosters synergy and maximizes effectiveness in its region efforts. Moreover, it emphasizes on the local ownership capacity for the long-term sustainability as well. So there are 7 main areas here as shown in this slide as prioritized by the cooperation, such as culture and tourism, human resources development, agriculture, infrastructure, innovative environment, and security challenges. Now I would like to move on the second part of my presentation. Burden of disease in the Mekong region. Firstly, today I would like to focus on vector-borne diseases. As you know that WHO announced the Mekong Malaria Elimination Program in this region. Since the number of malaria cases are still increasing and cause morbidity and mortality, I believe that we can work together as a part of elimination this infection in these regions together. And secondly, other diseases such as dengue infections, which have been in the public health problem for a long time, especially in our regions. So I believe that dengue fever is a part of main burden of disease in this region as well. Since dengue infection causes many diseases, especially in teenagers and adults in the past 10 years. So we may need to get the better methodology of laboratory diagnosis and prompt treatment for people in this group. Next infectious diseases I'm going to talk is scrub typhus, which has a flea as a vector, and also the Japanese encephalitis, which is the preventable disease. Recently, as the whole world experienced the pandemic of COVID-19 as well, the countries have learned more of how to strategize health security in their own areas. We are still moving towards the more coming pandemics as the global challenges daily. So I believe that we are facing together many challenges of health security together in this region. Lastly, may I discuss on the strategic plans on health security. I would like to refer to the USAID recent strategies, which include three main streams, which are, firstly, the Global Health Security Agenda, which would include our epidemiological data collection, preventive measures, geographical informative system, and all data collections and research. And the second part is going to be the very important part as the partnering for a more secure world, which would include all teamwork, collaboration between countries, and the connection to move together towards any pandemics. And lastly, I would call it the investing in the next generation of vaccines and preventive measures, such as new ways of protection of diseases, new medicines, and new laboratories. So now I would like to go on more details on health security challenges. I would like to discuss on One Health approaches that focus on intricate linkage between humans, animal, and environment. As shown in this slide, we do need the connectivity, coordinating team, communication, and working together as collaboration. In order to achieve the best health outcomes for people, animals, plants, and environment, I believe this approach will help us to achieve the security strategies successfully together. And now, I therefore would like to introduce three challenges for health security, which are firstly, the prevention of avoidable outbreaks. Secondly, the detection of threats early, which means that we have to work on the epidemiological data collection and the data collection as the real time for each country. Tracing methods for all diseases, effective laboratory testing, laboratory teams, outbreak investigation teams, and also reporting systems. And lastly, how we respond to the outbreaks effectively when it occurs. This means that how can we prepare the healthcare worker teams, resources, and transportation, as well as the healthcare settings for any outbreaks that may occur. Now I would like to move on One Health capacity. And I would like to include our capacity here for health security for us to work together in Mekong region. They include the improved risk communication to inform the public health and health workers on infection prevention and control. Secondly, increase the rising threat of antimicrobial resistance. And I believe this is the main problem in our region as well. Thirdly, how to promote innovation in vaccine and new drug development, especially as we experienced recently last year and this year on COVID-19, which we have learned together so much. And fourthly, to conduct research into new and emerging infections. I think we are going to exciting time together. And all capacities should be able to cover health issues such as I have shown in this slide, such as zoonotic diseases, antibiotic resistance, food safety and security, chronic diseases, mental health, and occupational health, and more. Now, before I finish my presentation today, one thing that I would like us to promote and consider for health security in the personal level, I call it self-care, which we would like each individual focuses on basic health promotion. As shown in my slides here, for example, care of our physical body, such as exercise, sleep, what to eat, our nutrition, or just walking, and how to manage stress, care of our spiritual health, financial and home, and etc. As you see in this picture, just Walking for Health program, even though it may look so simple, but it has high impact on individual health as well. Now I would like to provide the take-home message for all of us. Firstly, tailored method, which means when we would like to develop any programs or strategies to suit with the countries, regions, and local characteristics, people, and natures, that would give us the best results. Secondly, the cooperation between all people, teams, organizations, how to work together well in peace and harmony in order to maximize synergy between us. And lastly, I think our love towards one another and our society, that would be the best strategic plan as I experience in many programs as well. And I just would like to say thank you for all your attention. Thank you. สวัสดีค่ะ
Your kind arrangement for the presentation. You have touched upon important cross-cutting area of Mekong-Korea Cooperation, that is public health security. This certainly cannot go without, and it's continued to be very important now and in the future. You have outlined also the battle against vector-borne disease, infectious disease, and so on and so forth. And this will continue to be a topic where we need to address in the coming years. You also outlined the need to work in a more proactive manner through the adoption of One Health approach. And this has been one of the topic where we hope to be able to invite all the partners to work together, not only addressing the COVID-19, but also other zoonotic disease or any other diseases for human health security in the longer term. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Penina. Yeah. Allow me just to continue to the next speaker, who will also provide a perspective beyond individual topics, that is to look into how we could see the role of Republic of Korea, but through the lens of building synergies with Mekong countries. We have the speaker with us this morning, Ms. Amanda J. Van Den Yu, who is the Energy and Infrastructure Team Lead, USAID Regional Development Mission for Asia. So Ms. Amanda has been working with USAID for several years. She is also managed a diverse portfolio of regional energy and environmental safeguards program and leads USAID engagement with development partners. She also used to work in the Power Africa Coordination Office based in South Africa, and now and also has served USAID Policy Bureau, Democracy and Governance Office, and Education Office. She holds a bachelor degree in Urban and Regional Planning from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and a master degree in Urban Planning and Policy from the University of Illinois in Chicago. So, Kun Amanda, if you're ready, please walk us through what could be a possible synergy building, in this Mekong-Korea Cooperation and Mekong Cooperation at large. Over to you, please.
Great. Thank you very much. Could we please put up my presentation? Hello, my name is Amanda Van Den Duel, and I'm the Energy and Infrastructure Team Lead in the Regional Environment Office in USAID's Regional Development Mission for Asia. I want to first thank the conference organizers, the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Thailand, and the Mekong Institute for inviting me to be part of this esteemed panel today. And I look forward to sharing with you some of USAID's historical and current work in the environment sector in Mekong countries and some possibilities for coordination. Next slide, please. Last year, USAID's Regional Development Mission for Asia, or RDMA, launched our new Regional Development Cooperation Strategy. This document is our overarching strategic document that lays out regional programs over the next 5 years and aligns with the US government's broader priorities in the Indo-Pacific region. The symbolism of the lotus flower reflects RDMA's strategic goal, a more resilient, inclusive, and secure Southeast Asia. We aim to achieve this goal through 4 regional development objectives. Today, I will focus on Regional Development Objective 3, strengthening regional environmental and energy systems, which underpins our environment activities and directly supports the US government's renewed priorities and commitments related to climate change. Next slide, please. In the energy sector, RDMA works regionally to expand energy access and power sector investments in renewable energy and energy commerce. Underlying this work is the promotion of environmental safeguards, catalyzing public and private investments, and supporting market reforms to enable a level playing field for companies and investors in the region. We have a robust portfolio of projects, which includes work to improve gender equality in the energy sector across Southeast Asia, supporting critical policy and enabling environment reforms to increase the uptake of renewable energy technologies, supporting cross-border energy trade, transparent and competitive procurements, and modernizing utilities across the region. This work supports the US government's goals under the Asia Enhancing Development and Growth Through Energy, or Asia EDGE initiative. Asia EDGE is a whole of government initiative to support enhanced energy security and resilience across the Indo-Pacific region. Next slide, please. In addition to our technical assistance, USAID partners each year with the Asian Development Bank and the Korean Energy Agency to host the Asia Clean Energy Forum, and this is a partnership that we have valued over the years. ACEF is the region's premier conference on renewable energy development and convenes thousands of stakeholders from public and private sector to promote regional knowledge sharing and cooperation to address major clean energy and development challenges across the Indo-Pacific. ACEF provides a unique venue for government officials, the private sector, technical experts, and civil society organizations to come together to share the most innovative and important developments in clean energy in Asia and worldwide. Next slide, please. Another highlight of our regional work is the development of the Renewable Energy Data Explorer under the US Advanced Energy Partnership for Asia, a partnership with the US Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory. The Renewable Energy Data Explorer is a publicly available high spatial and temporal resolution solar data set for all of Southeast Asia, facilitating cross-border power trade. It brings best practices and robust analytical tools to promote regional adoption of emerging clean energy technologies. And this work was in coordination, and we were able to use data sets that were provided to us by Japan. So we really have appreciated that partnership and working collaboratively with other donors in the region on this project. It brings best practices and robust analytical tools to promote the technology, and it also works to, we've also worked to provide support under our recently closed USAID Clean Power Asia program, which has provided ongoing technical assistance to the ASEAN Interconnection Master Plan Study, or AIMS-3. AIMS-3 will help reach or exceed ASEAN's 23% renewable energy goal, reduce power costs for all ASEAN member states, and provide the basis to update plans for the ASEAN power grid. Next slide, please. RDMA also supports legal, sustainable fishing and logging, as well as efforts to combat transnational crime associated with wildlife and wildlife products in the region under our regional environment portfolio. Next slide, please. The region remains a source transit, and destination for illegal wildlife trade. USAID Wildlife Asia combats wildlife trafficking in Southeast Asia and China by reducing consumer demand, strengthening law enforcement, and building political will to safeguard wildlife resources and improve security in the Indo-Pacific. We also strengthen the leadership and commitment of regional organizations to advance sustainable fisheries management. The new USAID Sustainable Fish Asia activity aims to strengthen the Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center, or SEAFDEC's, regional role, address gender and labor concerns, enhance fisheries trade and compliance, and promote tools for combating illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Next slide, please. Under our Regional Development Cooperation Strategy, RDMA also works collaboratively with regional institutions, the private sector, academia, and civil society to increase responsible investment, champion transparent and inclusive governance, and strengthen regional institutions and networks to safeguard natural resources for the future. Next slide, please. Demand continues to grow for key commodities in Southeast Asia, such as timber, rubber, and coffee, leading to unsustainable land use and high emissions. In response, USAID Green Invest Asia supports mid-growth agriculture and forestry companies in Southeast Asia with business strategies and environment and social safeguards advice, and connects them with investors for capital matchmaking. The goal is to enhance the market competitiveness of responsible businesses and investors. USAID Green Invest Asia aims to mobilize $400 million of private finance into sustainable commodity production by 2023. The impact of this investment will lead to a reduction of 25 million tons of CO2 equivalent greenhouse gas emissions, improving business efficiency and higher agricultural productivity. Next slide, please. I'll also talk a bit about two additional programs, the Mekong Sustainable Manufacturing Alliance and USAID Mekong Safeguards. These programs promote an inclusive, open, and resilient environment that safeguards the region's natural resource base. The Mekong Sustainable Manufacturing Alliance, which is implemented by the Institute for Sustainable Communities, who you heard from earlier in this morning, is in partnership with Elevate and the Asian Institute for Technology, and works with the private sector with brands like The Gap, H&M, Costco, and Amazon on adopting strong ESG priorities for the manufacturing sector in Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. The USAID Mekong Safeguards Program, implemented by the Asia Foundation in consortium with the Stimson Center and the Global Environment Institute, provides stakeholders with information and tools to foster consistent application of ESG standards, particularly for power generation and transportation in lower Mekong countries. The Mekong Safeguards program has developed a series of tools using publicly available open source data. One tool I would like to mention is the Mekong Infrastructure Tracker. The tracker is the most updated and comprehensive database of infrastructure projects in the lower Mekong, and it includes approximately 6,000 projects, including power generation, infrastructure, and industrial spaces. The data can help decision makers consider the environmental and social outcomes as they pursue projects in the region. Also worth noting is this project is a new partnership with Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The new partnership, which is being called the US and Australia Mekong Safeguards Program, combines the resources and networks of both the US and Australia in supporting and promoting sustainable infrastructure across the Mekong region. Next slide, please. Additionally, our Mekong for the Future project, implemented by the World Wildlife Fund, aims to increase capacity of civil society and citizens to effectively engage in decision-making processes to improve natural resource management in Mekong countries. Next slide, please. Lastly, Surveyor Mekong, a joint initiative between USAID and the National Aeronautics and Space Commission, or NASA, uses the application of publicly available satellite data to develop tools that address climate-related challenges such as floods, droughts, and deforestation in the lower Mekong. This project is implemented by the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center. Next slide, please. Much like the Development, Prosperity, and Peace, USAID seeks to advance a free, open, secure, and inclusive Indo-Pacific in which all nations are independent, resilient, and prosperous. We're well aware that sustainable development in the Mekong can only be achieved by working hand in hand with partners, government counterparts, development partners, civil society and the business sector, local communities, and others. Here in the Mekong region, USAID is committed to deepening those partnerships and strengthening our engagements to achieve our common goals. We welcome the opportunity for further exploration of these coordination efforts and look forward to building new partnerships and to build upon shared climate change priorities in the Mekong in 2021 and beyond. Many thanks for your time today, and I look forward to the further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kun Amanda, for demonstrating opportunity and area where synergy could be built, and you have demonstrated this through US AID Regional Development Mission Asia initiative towards resilient, inclusive, and secure Southeast Asia. I think you have already demonstrated a number of entry point and area where this synergy could be built in, particularly on energy, infrastructure development, environment, natural resources, through an initiative by USAID. I think we have seen a good example where further cooperation among Mekong countries, Republic of Korea, and US government could be fostered and built, such as Green Invest Asia, Mekong Safeguards for the infrastructure development, Mekong Sustainable Manufacturing Alliance. The two Mekong Safeguard and Sustainable Manufacturing Alliance is also supporting the adoption implementation of environment, social, and governance standard and best practices. I think this is one of the area that is not only in terms of promoting prosperity as earlier discussed, but also to ensure that this is climate friendly and also environmental friendly. We noted Mekong for the Future and US USAID and NASA joint initiative on the use of satellite data. I think these are some of the examples where synergy could be built, and we cannot achieve sustainable development in Mekong area without working together and really ensure the inclusive development and cooperation. So with that, thank you very much for your insight and experience. Allow me just to hand over to my colleague Sanchita, just to spend the last bit of our forum today, just to entertain some of the questions and responses from the panelists before wrapping up the morning session. Sanchita, please.
Thank you, Kun Suryan, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lertfan, Dr. Penina, Ms. Amanda, for the excellent presentations and interesting points made. We will take some questions, so yeah, please be with us. We have received several questions. We are going to read a few questions, and we will ask the relevant speakers to answer them. If any other panelist or speaker would like to answer, you're welcome. We would request the speakers, we will make similar requests to the speakers as to other guests. Please keep your answers short. So the first question to Mr. Kavi, there are several questions on culture-related aspects. And there was one question about, how Mekong countries can really form a collective Mekong culture, because, there are a lot of differences between the countries. And also, how can you, how to support and expand the actual human exchange, human resource exchange between countries. So mostly these questions are directed to Mr. Kavi. Would you like to answer these? Mr. Kavi, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. I think Mekong now has reached the time that they can create a common sort of common ways of living. I talk about food, some basic cultures, some music. I think that's the best way to do it. And I use specific Lisa as a good example of these kinds of mixture between Korean and the local Mekong. And the lady is from Thailand, she's from Isan. Isan encompasses area, with the Laotian cultures and also the upper Golden Triangle. So I think in the future, Korea should use its expertise in K-pop, because young people, they tend to use social media, love entertainment, and through entertainment, they can embed some of the cultural lessons. I will give you one example. There's one now fashion trends inside Thailand suddenly because of Alisa is to put on the cap, our traditional Thai decorative one, which has been a bestseller. This kind of thing need the gritty things. And I think Korea can use maybe Thailand or Vietnam as an incubator so that they can train entertainers. Slowly it will spread out to other things. And the reason I said this because food, basic culture, entertainment is the easiest way to communicate. And if you look back to the history, Korean is very lucky because nobody adopt a very, what do you call, anti-Korean culture, not like in the 70s, you have anti-Japanese sentiment. So I think Korea is in a very good position to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Kun Suryan, may I ask you if you have any view on this, on the cultural aspect?
Well, I think Korea has been very successful of using music and series as a basis to foster better communication, as pointed out by Kun Kavi. I think we could see more of this inter-exchange as a way of fostering people-to-people exchange and co-creation of so-called new cultural evolution. I think what Kun Kavi has provided, pointed out the area where potential has been there, and we could continue to explore further cooperation and development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kun Suryan. Thank you, Kun Kavi. Next question we will take will be related to climate change. So there's a question about, what can Mekong-ROK Cooperation do to strengthen capacity in green investment in response to climate change challenges faced by the region. So what can Mekong countries and what can Mekong-ROK Cooperation do to respond to climate change challenges via strengthening capacity in green investment? May I ask Ms. Amanda if you have any view on this, and after that, Mr. Lee, if you can say something about this.
Thank you. I maybe what I would say to this is, thinking through the current environment, which we all have been enduring for the last year and a half with COVID, and the building out of COVID and rebuilding out of COVID green recovery efforts across the region. I think there's an opportunity within those recovery efforts to really think through how to build back, as we're saying in the US, how to build back better, how to look at opportunities for investment that are truly green, how to incorporate more renewables into the national grids, how to think through ways that this pandemic have altered our way of life, maybe for the long term, and ways that we can make sure that however we are reinvesting or rebuilding, that we have an eye towards climate change priorities, reducing emissions, and building a greener planet across the planet, not just in this region. So that would be my response. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
Hello. Yes. So Korean government set the two main strategy. The one is digital ODA, and second one is green ODA. So like Korean government focus on more greenized ODA, and like we would like to focus on the reduction of carbon emissions. Yeah.
Okay, Thank you very much for your answers. The next question to Mr. Dutta. This is a question received from Laos. In your slide, it is shown that investment in Laos is quite less. So could you share your thoughts on what could be the reasons for it and how could they improve their FDI inflows?
Okay, thanks for this question. This is mainly because of the economic and the infrastructure factors that I would say that has resulted in low FDI inflow to Laos PDR if we compare with Vietnam particularly, or even other Mekong countries. And economic factors, I would say it has the disadvantage in terms of the market size probably, and also the regional and international market accessibility. We all know that Laos PDR is landlocked, but we are trying to build up the land link. Also, that will definitely offer opportunities. And the port of Thailand, Lian Chapeng port, and also Da Nang port are definitely going to offer a lot of opportunities for Laos PDR in the next coming years. At the same time, social capital, I think, is also an important element, particularly the human element. The human skills need to be developed to attract foreign investments. And at the same time, incentives for investments for Koreans. I think that package need to be a little bit updated or modified, and some amount of publicity is also required for the Koreans to look for the prospects of investment in Laos PDR. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Does anybody else have anything to share on this topic? Any of the speakers? Okay, if not, the next question for Dr. Penina. Could you give your ideas on vector-borne NA+ disease control? I mean, is it different in Korea? The way the disease, the next one, please. The way the disease is controlled in Korea, is it different from, say, it's controlled in Mekong countries? Could you give us some idea?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. You know what, in order to understand the vector-borne diseases in Mekong region and in Korea, there are such difference in terms of epidemiological data. And what we can work together is that Korean government itself can help support of the new laboratory testings, new vaccines, new drugs, and also new techniques of detection the diseases in these regions. And at the same time, also in Mekong regions, we have a lot of emerging diseases. But as we know, in the last few years, we got a lot of tourism, a lot of people from Korea itself traveling to Mekong regions, especially in Thailand or Cambodia, etc. And they might catch any diseases from Mekong region and go back to Korea. And I think that what we can work together is how to get the, the new mutation or the new emerging diseases, strains from Mekong regions, that we can do further research and do more laboratory kit tests. And then I think that what we would need is the technologies and good profile of the ROK as well. So it seems like the working together for the good health.
Thank you, Dr. Penina, for sharing your thoughts on this. Unfortunately, we cannot take any more questions. We have received several questions. In the interest of time, we have to close the forum proceedings now. But I would like to say on behalf of the organizing team, we really appreciated receiving all the questions, and we are grateful for all the guests who have sent your questions. But this is all we can take for the time being. This is now the time to almost end the forum. We thank you. We thank all of you, all the guests and all the distinguished speakers and panelists for being with us till now. For delivering vote of thanks and concluding remarks, I would like to invite the tireless Mr. Suryan Vichitlekan, Executive Director of Mekong Institute, to take the floor. Mr. Suryan, please.
Thank you, Sanchita, Excellencies, distinguished speakers and audience. I think it has been quite exciting morning just to see various perspectives sharing the same directions of inclusive cooperation and partnership. Mekong-Korea Cooperation is one of the cooperation framework that has been addressing the common issue and needs among Mekong countries and Republic of Korea, as well as also connecting to other cooperation framework. I would like just to take this opportunity to thank the Mekong countries, Republic of Korea, for continued support and guidance to promote the cooperation activities. The past 10 years has been a showcase of how genuine interest and strong partnership could contribute to development in the region. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank the Embassy of Republic of Korea to Thailand for co-organizing this event, and also to all lovely speakers for sharing your perspective. I think it's quite interesting to see how each of perspective reinforce in terms of promoting inclusive, a more resilient and also secure development in Mekong and also Southeast Asia at large. Before closing, I would like just to perhaps emphasize on three underlying messages we have heard since the beginning of the forum. The first underlying message is the importance of looking back of 10 years, a decade-long cooperation and partnership between Mekong countries and Republic of Korea. I think by now, we understand better the aspiration behind cooperation among Mekong countries and Republic of Korea, guided by Mekong-Han River Declaration announced by the leaders of the countries, guided by the three pillars, so-called people, prosperity, and peace. And Ambassador Arun Lung also re-emphasized also the need to care for planet. I think we have seen a number of development contribution in this broad pillars area. Mekong-Korea Cooperation will continue to provide a meaningful engagement and collaboration for many more years to come. It's also a basis where it reinforces or leverage on other Mekong related cooperation framework. And with that, I see a lot of more opportunities that we can continue to work together. Second message or second area is that despite the progress and achievement over the past 10 years, there's still area, opportunity and challenges where we need to work together. We have seen a number of opportunities derived from the implementation of Mekong-Korea Cooperation Funds, which intend to address the need of individual countries and foster cooperation between Mekong and Republic of Korea and other development partners. We also see the government of Republic of Korea policy and ODA support through Korea International Cooperation Agency. I think this also could be a good complement. The importance of selected cross-cutting topics and areas such as water management, such as health, security. All of this cannot go without properly addressing, considering the people-to-people connectivity, economic and trade development and partnership, as well as creating peace and stability in the region. We also hear a lot about possibility that we can build synergy. I think the experience and perspective shared by colleagues from USAID Regional Development Mission Asia on a number of initiatives that help fostering the pillars concept of people, prosperity, and peace, but at the same time promote resilient, inclusive, and secure region are entry point where we can continue to work. My last point, taking the 10 years achievement and milestone initiative forward, there's still a lot of rooms where we all can work together. And as many speakers said, one cannot achieve a greater development of the region, and also to contribute to sustainable development guided by Agenda 2030. Let's continue to work together. On behalf of Mekong Institute and also Embassy of Korea to Thailand, I would like once again to thank all the speakers for your time, your expertise, your experience, to kind audience who have been staying with us throughout the morning. This is not one-off event. We hope to be able to see opportunity where we can interact, exchange among each other. Be invited to visit the website of the Mekong-Korea Cooperation at Mekong Institute. More information about MKCF project. I'm sure that much more opportunity is to be redefined and rewritten through our cooperation and partnership. So with that, thank you very much for your time, your participation. Look forward to more opportunity for engagement and interaction. Thank you. So that will be a close for today. So stay tuned for any future opportunity. Bye-bye, everyone. Take good care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Recording stopped.